Cool. So let's jump into it. Just sort of updating the DXY chart just as we're having this sort of open up here. We can see a little bit of a gap down just on the open. So there was a while ago where it was pretty much sort of 90% of the time the gap down would sort of, give the direction for the session. But that kind of sort of went out a little bit. So, and we've seen some pretty sort of flat opens recently. So, um, excuse me. The fact that we're sort of moving down here obviously looks like it's a dribble, dribble, dribble. It's tried to get up here. This is our yesterday's support, which obviously is looking like a pretty good resistance now. Um, does lead you to think, yes, it's going to push down here, but 5 minutes, 6 minutes till sort of turn of the hour, and that's when we start to see actual volume in. So 11:45, this one seems to come online. So yeah, we've got a little bit of gap down, push down here. RSI, this is on the 1 hour, does support it to sort of push back down. It's obviously coming off overbought conditions and that, even though it was only sort of flat here. So it means a lot of people are buying it, but it's pushed the buying pressure right up here, but it's just not able to see the same move with the actual sort of price. So as you can see, we're breaking down a little bit below here. So off yesterday's chart, we saw here we've got the D1 support. That obviously came down here, clipped it, and that sort of played its part, pushed itself back up over here. That's fine. That's pretty much as expected with these sort of things. So if you put onto the daily quickly, you can actually see that this here, I'll clear this up for 1 second. You can see this is the body fill, and this is what I say with your targets, and that it's not necessarily always just where the wick is. You look for the body fill, that's why we had if we go back here, that's why we had D1 support on the body fill. And that's obviously why it sort of it was played out like this and sort of come up here. So we haven't got any top wick so far on the new candle that's come out. So it's a chance we could sort of push up here a little bit. So that's going to become a little bit of not so much a sort of resistance, but certainly going to be a little bit of a point that they'd want to sort of break above, hold above. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a push up that would close the gap. Because obviously that's a gap through that space there, and then it's a bit of a push down. So just may as well update these ones while we're doing it. So I'll drag one of these down. So this will be a point where you reckon you might sort of see a little bit of pushback, and then this one here will be just that previous D1 wick, and then sort of going right back up the top over here. This is the next sort of D1 resistance. So coming down on the downside though, so we have sort of pierced through this, it's pushed up, but it seems like the selling's still coming in. If we can take out this wick low, so now I'm going to move this support down a little bit here. So it is still this whole zone. Like, I mean, it's not a sort of exact science. So to the cent kind of thing, it's nice when you do get it to the cent, but it's a little bit of a sort of in and out kind of thing. But basically what we want to see is this is yesterday's low. This is where we saw the buyers step back in. They push it back up. They say, yeah, that's cheap enough for me. I'm going to give it a go. They push it up. We want to see the buyers here depleted. So this is why it's support, because price was supported from this level. When we see it break that wick, then we know that the price is no longer supported there, and we can expect a continuation to the downside. So these things, I mean, particularly this is a D1 candle, so you've got 23 hours or so to push this one. So there's a lot that can sort of happen through here, but what you would expect, particularly, and this is why you look for the candles to close underneath them, you'd look down to the next level. Where have we seen price previously? Not necessarily always support. Like support technically would be, where its price is supported and pushed back up. But these are more areas of where we've seen the market react in a certain way previously. So as the support resistance, we can see the market push it down here, push it down here, push it down here. So everybody that was trying to short it, they'd probably be looking to cover their positions, at least get out for break even. That's the sort of risk management idea with that. That's sort of like, okay, I got it wrong. Here I've got a chance to get out, admit that I'm wrong, and not lose anything. So I'm going to close my positions here. And this is why you'll see it react on the other side. So if we break this wick here at 103.94, then I'd expect it to come to 103.81. I mean, it could sort of do up, down all the way through here, and it won't necessarily come down to this point, but If it gets down to this point here, I'd expect, as you can see with these pushes here, a reaction, pushing back up for sort of part of the market participants to close their shorts, which will sort of add to the buying, and people to sort of go, okay, look, we've got a little bit of a retest, similar to what we had over this side here, where we had, resistance, 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 and then as market hit that, well, it fired back up again. So we're looking for probably a little bit of a repeat of that. RSI is turning up a little bit here, so we'll have to sort of see what happens. Obviously, if we have an up day here, then this RSI is going to be moving back up to the top side here. So we could have 2 days of pullback and then push right back up to the top side over here. And this is why we have the resistance levels, the key levels over this side. And if we take out 104.16, then we look for the next level up to the top each time. Or not each time, but up to the next level where we sort of know that the sellers have liked to sort of push it down from previously. So sort of flipping back onto the D1 time frame here, we can sort of now, as we said yesterday, this was our support. We broke through it, and this is a good example. Oh, where's the arrows? The buyers were here, broke through, they became sellers, sellers, sellers. So this now goes from support to resistance. So this is obviously sort of H1 level. I mean, this is the bodies here. You've got the wicks down here, but more or less through this zone through here, we can see that price is still trying to be supported here a number of times. Here, here, close enough here, managed to close above here, and as you can see, it's trying to hold this area now. So a close under 104. I think it'll be a nice little confirmation, but as I said, we've got this little gap, so there's a good chance we push up, close the gap, and then melt back down afterwards. Similar to like this. But this is the 3rd day of a pullback on the daily. As we just saw a second ago, the sort of RSI on the daily was starting to tick up. So it means that a lot of the market's sort of seeing this sort of coming here and dribbling, and they're thinking, okay, look, I'm fading it, fading it, fading it. There's a good chance that now they just sort of obviously rip it up to this side over here. So this is the thing, sort of through this area here, there's not really too much to be taken away from it. As you can see, certainly last night through US session, this here area here, this is what we call the sort of like a consolidation, basically like a little breakout box. And you can see that sort of price really just oscillating up and down all the way through here. So, as I said, I'm sort of leaning, and the way the chart is pointing here would lean to a downside move. Consolidations favor continuation. So we came into it in negative, moving down, consolidated. It would favor it to break out and see a continuation to the downside. But that's obviously not always the case. So if we do see a bit of a push up here, well, we've seen the sellers here. So, there's a good chance that we'll probably at least get one more try here. But then if we see that these sellers disappear and the price pushes through, well, then we're going to look to where we sort of think the sellers have been previously. And this is not a major sort of resistance area, but these are the levels up here and up here where we would expect sort of sellers to be sort of lurking around, because we can see they were buyers here and they've got it wrong. They're happy to get out. We can see that this is a little area where it tried to push back up to, and obviously bang, sort of came back down. So, really while it's inside this box and before it actually closes outside, it's anybody's guess. I mean, you can sort of make sort of assumptions. As I said, RSI pointing down, came into the consolidation pointing down, favors a continuation down. But, on a daily, it does look like it could have a little bit of a bounce coming. So, you got to weigh up both factors of it. It's not just a direct, well, it's like this and it's going to go that way, because that's how you get sort of caught out with these things. But certainly at the moment, it looks like it's favoring a further move to the downside. And as I said, once we break yesterday's lows, which are these ones here, which we've made our D1 supports, you got a hourly support through here. Hourly's not as strong, but then you can see it's a pretty clear cut move down to retest, and this is a 103.82. All right, cool. And so let's just move on. So I'll have a look at gold. So gold overnight got this little pullback. So I did have the channel a little bit thin. I had it sort of around this area here, which actually was something like this, which it did look like. I mean, this is what we were expecting yesterday, hence the line. A little bit of a pullback before a takeoff, which we got. I mean, as I said, I updated these lines just this morning just to sort of see, because this seems a bit more in line now. We've got realistically four touches along this new line, but the price action was pretty much as expected. Admittedly quieter than I thought, but I thought pullback, entries around the 30s, up 45 was the price target, and I think we came up just scratching on that area there. So, we sort of sold back down into pretty heavy, and now obviously we are just grinding forward a little bit more as well. So again, I would have thought that this might have been enough to hold it, but obviously, there's still some sellers sitting around this area here. So I think if we can go through here again, so close above 42, I think that'll sort of see a little bit more of a sort of continuation to the top side. If we do, I've got a smallest little support here, but I would say 32 and 29, that's really the area that you want to make sure the buyers are holding. This area through here. So make it a quick zone. You want to make sure that buyers hold here. This is what, I mean, this has got your rising support, so it's attempting a bit of a channel through here. But you want to make sure that obviously you take out these highs to see continuation to the top side. But if you do break this, your first point of call is to see if the buyers are still sitting here on the horizontal. If they fail to be here, then that's your confirmation coming down to the bottom side here. Then we're probably going to be sort of coming back down towards these 2015s and that. It's not an overly convincing move to the top side, but realistically, if you look at gold the last couple of weeks, it's super choppy. So we are technically putting in higher lows. As you can see, the buyers were, sitting down here, sitting up here, sitting here. So they are moving up, but there's no guarantee that, this won't sort of just get halfway here, like this move here, and they fail back down. Looks like it's going, fails back down. So, 30, 40, 40s, 30s, that obviously has been playing its part, but 30s, 40s, and then sort of, up around that sort of mid 40s. I think it's sort of what you're looking for, a sort of continuation. Here, if we put it onto the 4 hour, I might have a little bit of a better view. Yeah, as you can see, we're getting pretty hot on the RSI over here, and it really just yesterday just ground through here. Where have we got here? So 9 o'clock, so 1 o'clock. So we've got 50 minutes left on this 4 hour. If we can sort of push up and sort of get a close, up around 40, because we can see on the 4 hour that this is where the sellers have liked to be. If we can get a close up around, say 40 to 41, I would say that's going to be looking pretty bullish for a sort of continuation to the top side there. Flip across to Aussie, because we got that little sort of head and shoulders move that I was looking at yesterday. So actually put it on this one. This probably shows it a bit better. So we got the little head and shoulders, neckline very defined, broke out, came back. We've got the retest happening now. Above 40, 40's your breakout. 40 actually quite interesting sort of thing, because as you can see, I've put a little flag through here as well, which potentially could be sort of breaking out. Again, 40, same thing as the confirmation to go higher. That gives us a price target up around sort of mid 60s. This inverted head and shoulders, price target around 63. So, 3-4 points within each other. And this is also a known area of where we've got this previous sort of lower support area, where market had tried to hold it a couple of times. Obviously, we've flown through it a few times, but certainly I think if we get up around this area here, mid 60s, we're going to be running into a little bit of a headwind and that. But above 40 to 60, I think that's a pretty clear-cut 20-point move to the top side there. If we can get that sort of push and close above 40. A lot of sort of pushback sort of through here. If you jump onto the 1 hour, it was very flat. I mean, look at this chop through here last night. I mean, this is realistically like 20-point range ever since what 4 o'clock yesterday, so 30 hours or so of a sort of 20-point range, very tight, 0.33%. But yeah, as I said, at the moment we're holding above this zone. You break back down below, sort of like 65, really 65.12. Then I think this is going to be a bit of a failed breakout attempt. But you can see that sort of like the sellers were here, sellers were here, sellers are here. Little attempt, little attempt, little attempt, and they're pushing up just a little bit as of right now. If we do see that push up on DXY, that's obviously, I mean, I know Aussie's not part of the DXY, but, US dollar buying, that's going to be pushing that down there. We do actually have a bit of news coming out, which might affect things a little bit, actually, now that I think of where are we here? On the Thursday. So we got this one here. We got PPI and CPI for China. So we'll sort of see how that sort of affects things, and obviously that could have a little bit of an impact on the Aussie as well. Looking pretty flat with the numbers. The CPI looking to sort of tip down a little bit further, so in a sort of deflationary sort of period here. So I would think sort of if they're wanting to get the rates sort of a little bit higher, what I mean, that might be a little bit sort of more bullish for the Aussie, but PPI down a tick, I would say that's probably almost a little bit negative for the Aussie, but we'll see how these ones sort of play out. Flipping across, which chart we're on. Okay, if we got the Aussie here, we'll flip across, we've got copper. Copper continues to get smacked. Seems to be a bit of a theme though, sort of as we can see here, the early Asia. They seem to be giving it a go to buy it. This is where we were yesterday. We were like, okay, it's pushing up. But this is the thing, and this is why I sort of say, look, you pick out these levels where the sellers are, because we knew the sellers are here. We knew the sellers are here. I thought, as per this little chart here, I thought, look, here we go. We're going to be pushing through here. But no, sellers came in. They pushed it down further, and you can see these highs coming in even lower each time. You had a little bit of a support, like if you break this down to a short-term thing, you can see this is the little area here where you had a little bit of buying, it broke through, and then what happened? That same zone, they became sellers, and price just got hammered afterwards. So seeing a little bit of a push up early here, so we can chuck in a little zone for it all. Obviously, if we break this one to the downside, then you're going to be seeing some continuation, but fairly big sort of little candle to start it off here. So we'll sort of see what they have to sort of do through the rest of the session. So yesterday, the only slight difference I can see now is that RSI, this is on the 1 hour, which is quite a low time frame to sort of be trading copper. But we are sort of seeing that yesterday, around this time, where were we? It was around here or so. Yesterday, we were obviously screaming quite hot with the RSI. Price has been punished. It's given it a chance for the RSI to cool off, and now we're coming out of sort of oversold sort of conditions. So getting back above this 379 area, because obviously price was held here quite a few times. That's your first sort of target to sort of get above here, to sort of get back into that upper range. All right, and China. China, it keeps holding on. I mean, this was that area that we were sort of looking at for a long time. There's sort of little breakout zones through here. Obviously, push it back, and as you can see, the sellers, and okay, the buyers came back in over here. Now we've got to sort of see what they do. As I said, we've got that China data coming out soon, so that'll be interesting to sort of see what they do with this here. At the moment, we've got a lower high coming in, and I wouldn't really call this the low yet. But you could probably sort of drag these sort of lows something along this line here. Again, this is a fairly low time frame for trading China, but that's a little bit of your lines there. So if we go back down and take out those lows from overnight, or whenever it was, actually it was yesterday, mid-Asia session yesterday, I think that'll be your confirmation for your downside moves. Alternatively, if we get that data sort of strong or sort of weak for the yuan, and you see the US dollar rip up and push up and have a bit more of an up day, then obviously I think the big test is going to be if you can take out these highs, then you've got those previous highs coming down over here. So that's your sort of bigger triangle here kind of thing. This is more of a short term. Excuse me, bit of a short term breakout. So I think you've got a lot of headroom up here, or sort of resistance up around this zone. So realistically, you need to take out that first breakout high if you want to sort of see further moves to the top side. All right, that's about it from me.